Okay, so looking at 404 pages and trying to determine whether Google have actually identified these correctly. Are these 210 affected pages actually a 404? Do some of them redirect? If so, where do they go to? And is that new page also a 404, or is it status 200, and so on? So you'd go in here, you'd export these, and that gives us this list. Now it says there are 210, which matches what it says in here, 210 404 pages. An important thing to notice down here, I've highlighted it, we've got these two, which are essentially the same page, but one has capitalization in here, and that's going to affect our export, our final export. We're going to have one less because essentially this is the same page. Anyway, so we've got our 210 at the moment, which we'd copy, and we'd go to Screaming Frog. Now I've actually made the crawl already, but what you'd do is be in list mode because we want to crawl that 210. We go to configuration, spider, looking in advanced, and this is normally unchecked. We just check always follow redirects. So then when it crawls, it will crawl the 210 that we give it initially. But as you can see from this crawl that is completed, don't know if you can make out the numbers down here, but it says that it has crawled 336 pages. And that, it shows us that it's actually crawling the redirects that it's going to. And you only need one export, I think, for this entire project, and that comes from reports, redirects, all redirects. And the export that you get might seem a little bit sort of overwhelming. There's a lot of columns in it, but you don't need to look at all of them really. So you go to all redirects, save that wherever you want, and here is the export from this crawl. Now the columns that you're interested in are pretty much around to that, and we don't really need much else because these are just the additional redirects and steps that is taken. The important thing is this is where you started and this is where the final address is. Now if it goes through a redirect or multiple redirects, the final address is the one that we're interested in, and it tells you if the final address is indexable, and it tells you the status code of the final address. So even if this goes through 10 redirects, this will be the final one that it hits, and this is the status code. Now this particular one here, maxnutrition.com/training, HTTP goes to HTTPS, that is a redirect, and it states 200, so that page is actually fine. Some of these, let me see, this one doesn't go through any redirects at all. It is just a 404 page. So here we've got not only whether the final redirect places status 200 or status 404 or whatever, but we've also got those that don't redirect at all. So we've got in our list, if I scroll down and select all of these, we have 209 URLs, and that's why I highlighted earlier that we had that one URL that was duplicated. So we've got all of our 209 results here and can see whether their final destination is a status 200 or 404 or whatever. So we can say, actually, Google says that we have 210 404 pages, but 106 of those end up on a status 200 page. So they're not a problem at all. We could look at final status code 404, and these are the ones that they do need to fix, because either they don't redirect at all and they just 404, or they do redirect like this one, but it takes you to a 404 page. So that is the selection that they really need to get a handle on, that's still 404. And over here, this one, 3, that has got a final status code of 301, means that yes, it is a redirect loop. So MaxiNutrition /Ibiza is redirecting to maxinutrition.com/Ibiza or Ibiza. Christ, Steve. So it's just going around in circles, just redirecting to itself. So that is a broken redirection loop, which they need to fix. But essentially, you would highlight that problem and you would highlight these ones as either redirecting from one place to another place that also hits a 404, or a page that is just a 404 without any redirection. And you just need to kind of go through those and sort of sort them into the groups of whether they are redirected or not. So there's all the ones that involve redirection, and these are the ones that simply there is no redirection, they just 404. So that's it. So I think it's this step, it's this report, redirects or redirects, and then looking at the spreadsheet and realizing that a lot of this data is of no use to us whatsoever, because we're just looking at everything up to the final status code, and all of this you don't need to look at or get confused by. Hopefully that's helpful. If you've got any questions, just drop me a message.